Hello there and welcome. I'm just so happy that you've been able to attend today. I'm super pumped to be introducing you to a very good friend of mine, Oliver Rolfe. Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Very well, Anne. Wonderful to be here, genuinely.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm so glad that you agreed to be here because I just am super excited to share with everyone today about the book that's just come out. Oliver is an incredible author who is. This is not his first publication, but I think it's his best so far. So Oliver is he's an author out of the UK. He's the founder and CEO of Spartan International. So he offers life and career consultancy services. He came to me a couple of years ago now, I think, Oliver, wasn't it?
I think so. It was the beginning of the pandemic, almost a couple of months in,
Yeah.
and we connected perfectly.
Yeah, we did. And so you came to me for a reading, and we talked about, who you are and what the future holds, and all that kind of good stuff that we do during a reading. And I can't remember if at that time you told me that you were planning on writing the book or whether that came after the fact.
So to be fair, if we go back to when I was starting the book,
Yeah.
so my first book came out just before 2000, just before the pandemic, effectively. So I had the second book in mind, but really, I think the first book was going to come out, give it a couple of years, spend a bit more time, and then make sure the second book is developed slowly. Now, I think about
Mhm.
2.5 weeks into the pandemic, I was sitting in the garden. It was a beautiful day, and I turned to my wife and I just said, I can't do this anymore. And I think she
Mm.
looked at me and was quite panicked at the time, thinking, well, what can't you exactly do? Um,
I've
and
had that
I just said, like,
conversation.
I just said, you know what, I can't sit here and pretty much do nothing in a moment where we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So fortunately, she took the mantle. She was great with the kids. She homeschooled a lot of the time, and I went into the office. I closed the door and started on the book, which really led us together. For me, and we'll talk about this in a lot more detail. The
Mhm.
book is invariably about self-awareness and
Mhm.
self-control.
Mhm.
And as I kind of learned more and more about numerology, especially with the Pythagoras, the modern numerology 2,500 years ago started, I really started to find or found that it resonated with me in my life and gave me a lot of understanding. And I think that was so important and amazing. And it really is. And we've talked about this loads of times about synchronicity in the world and what happens and when it happens and how it happens. And the fact that, really you're part in control, but it's part of the process. And
Mhm.
I think what we're doing is part of the process. So I think I remember I'm a Master 11, as you all
Yeah.
know, and I know the audience won't know this, but Anne is a Master 11 specialist, as I think everyone here would know. And you automatically, or people get drawn to you, put it this way. And I think I was watching one of your videos and I thought, well, this is great. And I watched another one. I think after 10 videos, I thought, you know what? Enough with the videos. I've got to call you. And that's how we connected. And that, that the first report and reading that we had really was awesome. Obviously, yes, I knew a lot about it already, as we discussed, but you just gave me so much color and understanding.
Well, that's kind of the goal, so I appreciate that. And hopefully it kind of helped to affirm that writing this book, it's called The Holistic Guide to Your Health and Wellbeing Today. It's now available on Amazon. Excuse me. And I love how you blended, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual aspects in it. I don't know that I've ever seen a book written in this way. And I was so grateful that you chose me to support you on the numerology side of it, to include that. And it just works so well. And I have to say, Oliver, that the timing of this is brilliant, right? Because we are all right now shifting out of 2022. And what a year this has been. 2022, three number twos, right? So which add up to six. So the whole energy, this umbrella energy, if you will, that is affecting each and every one of us is related to the sixth vibration, which is about responsibility to home and family. But when we look at it a little bit, deeper into that, we've got all those twos. So the two relates to working one-on-one with each person. And by the end of this year, we're all going, oh my, like time out, right? Back off. Like we are all wanting to go into our caves coming into 2023. I don't care what personal year you're going to be in. The fact is the universal umbrella is going to be related to the number 7, which is all about spiritual enlightenment, finding out, who are we and what makes us who we are? What are all the components, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, all of it. We've got to really dig deep into that. And it's not a question that we really have to. The universe isn't going to cut us any slack next year. We're all going to be asking the big questions. Who is God? Who do I pray to? What is the divine? What should I be doing with my life? Should I still be here? Should I still be there? All of that is coming into play. So the fact that you've written this book and it's being published in this timely way, I love it, because it really is the go-to guide. It really will support everybody in 2023. This is going to be your go-to. You start out talking about the immune system, right? You might want to elaborate.
I do. So, I think you've captured the book probably better than I can in many respects, Anne. So I think you're a better PR person than me. But the book, I think, as you said quite rightly, it covers the 4 core bodily systems, and it's something which I felt really strongly on. So to give you a bit of background about why I wrote the book and why it's here. So 10 years ago, I slipped a disc in my back and ended up looking like a poor man's Iron Man for a short period of time. And invariably, that one slip disc led on to 7 slip discs and a diagnosis of something called ankylosing spondylitis, which is an inflammatory disease of the spine. Now, this event basically changed my life. It changed the way I ate, I thought, how I worked. And it was really through a lot of doctors and professionals that I spent a huge amount of time with, that I started to understand more about my nutritional sense. So I think, as you said, the fact that it's so timely with your immune system, having an autoimmune disease, it was important for me to really focus on the things that would really boost my immune system. And, I'm quite, I'd say, controlled to a degree in what I put in my body, what I put on my body, and what's around me. And that also, connects to the energetic as well. Excuse me. Now, the energetic, as we've seen through COVID, not having that one-on-one reaction and interaction, is, you've quite rightly said, we've had a lot more of it this year, and it seems to be hyper-inflated. And even conversations I had today, people are starting to think, oh, I can't wait for the end of the year. I'm exhausted. I need that break. And coming into next year, I think you're absolutely right. It is going to be a moment of reflection and understanding. So this book takes not just my knowledge and the people that I've worked with, and like yourself and elsewhere, but it's all of the researchers, all of the scientists that have spent probably the last 40, 50, 60 years of their lives on one particular area. And what I've done is highlighted these areas which personally are so important, or what's so important for me and my immune system, but connecting on where we are now with COVID and everything that goes with that. I think we all need to take much more care of ourselves and be more aware of ourselves. So this is a book which I think, to be completely honest, I'm going to be picking up constantly and using as a tool for myself. And it's something which I really genuinely believe that it can be useful for absolutely everyone. It's not something that I don't think it's overbearing, but it's also something you don't have to read straight away. It's, if you want to pick it up and read a couple of paragraphs, I think you can do.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the way that you have it laid out, you don't have to read it, one after the other kind of thing. You can just sort of pick it up and go, well, I'm kind of interested in exploring the physical side or the emotional side or whatever. Yeah. I mean, and what I really thought was kind of interesting, you talked about body talk, you talk about emotional intelligence, you talk about Miguel Ruiz's principles. That's how you wrapped the book up in the end. I freaking loved that, how you were able to tie it all in together. It was amazing. But we are going to need a guide next year, because, this year has all been about our responsibility to everybody else. So we are exhausted as a planet. We are all exhausted. We are all feeling really tired. But I feel like moving into 2023 with that 7 vibration, we have to look at ourselves. We have to hit that pause button next year to go, okay, what about me? Where am I going? I mean, I've been on this train, and COVID kind of took the ability to make decisions away from us. Maybe I didn't say that quite right, but it definitely took away some liberties, some things that we took for granted. Our freedom, for example, a lot of that was taken from us, and how we chose to respond to all of that created the reality that we lived in. But now we're taking it a step deeper, going into that 7 vibration next year. Like I said, I can't even believe how good the timing is on this. Because you talk about chakra system, you talk about the physical side, you talk a lot about vitamin supplements. Like there's just nothing that's not in here. It's awesome.
And also the universal numbers, which we talk about fairly often. It's just seeing the numbers around us, being aware of the numbers, and it's taking the message that do come to us. I think this is, as we mentioned earlier on, that synchronicity and how the world brings us the information that we need and ask for.
Yes.
So I was watching something the other day, and it was actually it was a priest being questioned in his religion, and he quite eloquently said, if I ask for courage, then God will give me a situation to be courageous. And if I ask for love, God will give me an opportunity to be loving. And it's very difficult, I think, and many of the other examples, but I think it's very difficult as human beings that we often don't know what we want. Or put it this way, we don't often know what we need.
Yes.
And our wants and needs get skewed by the material world around us, the influx of just everything and everyone. And sometimes I feel that people are disconnected to themselves. And again, for me, I'm a great person to be by myself, which is probably doesn't sound the right way, but I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I enjoy understanding myself more, and I think that's something which I think people are so busy in the world, and maybe they're busy because they don't want to sit down with themselves and maybe understand that there's something that they want to work on and need to work on. And I think emotional intelligence in particular is something that highlights that quite greatly. And as you mentioned right at the top of this, we focus on life and career guidance. And actually, we got an award today as the #1 life and career consultancy in the UK for 2022.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's awesome.
I know, absolutely phenomenal timing. And we're a month away from the book launch, all of the publication, the marketing's going out today. The fact that we're sitting here speaking, this is a wonderful moment for all of us involved.
Yes.
And I think that's the whole point with this. The book is about the whole and the collective, and the book involves yourself, a gentleman by the name of David Moxon, who's a 30th psychologist, Sarah Leslie, who I call my spiritual mother, who is an international healer medium and clairvoyant, and also Steps Together Rehab Centre in the UK, which is fortunately headed up by my brother, who's founder and CEO. So that we've all worked, I think we all have the same mentality to help people, and we are here to want to help others. And the fact that a collective can come together and produce something, I hope, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but something really memorable and really special, not only for ourselves, but for anyone else out there. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful situation. I feel very privileged to be involved in.
Oh, likewise, absolutely honored to have a small part of this. But when I think about your book, it's almost like a spiral for me, right? Because when I think about the part that I played in it, helping you to create the numerological side of it, where identifying life path numbers and the strengths and the weaknesses and whatnot. Once a person knows what their life path number is, and they know what their strengths and their weaknesses are, they can go through the rest of the book and apply that material accordingly. So for example, when we talk about the physical and we talk about somebody who has a life path number 1, they run on high octane, right? And the anxiety can sometimes really get ahead of them if they don't run it off, so they need cardio. Somebody who is a 2 life path number is someone who is going to be more in line with meditation and peaceful encounters and peaceful working atmospheres and that sort of thing. And if you know that, because you're referencing the book, life can just run a whole lot easier because you've got the recipe. I think in the little bit of promo I did the other day for the book, I said, this is a recipe. We have to have all of the ingredients to be completely whole. And this is where next year is going to be so profoundly tied into the message in this book. There's just so many things we need to consider. And that's where we're going next year. We're all going to be in that position where we're going to have to consider who we are and what we want and how we're going to get there. Because when we go into 2024 is going to be an 8 universal year, which is all about manifesting whatever it is we've thought about and considered in our time out for next year, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. They always
Yeah.
make sense to me. But the apart from timings, but we know that.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting point really that you've raised there, it's it is so poignant where we are at this moment, especially if you're living in London, as I am. You have got political changes, you've got European wars, you've got energy wars. It feels like it's not that you have a complete destructural, or literally a destructural of the financial structures as well over the last 40 years, which we're going through. Well, as someone else said to me, it is the age of Aquarius. And all of these things actually will lead, as you said quite rightly, to a moment where we all are going to be forced to stop and reevaluate. And probably, let's be fair, as you all know within numerology, it's getting in touch with your soul's purpose and your real identity. And it's no coincidence why I found this path at this moment, one in my life, but also within this moment in our lives together. And as I said, that synchronicity, I was always meant to write this book. I was told many a year ago by a very good clairvoyant friend, put my teeth back in, who said, keep writing, just keep writing. And I kind of went, okay, that's a strange thing to say considering I don't write. But
apparently you do.
Clearly I am apparently an author now.
Yes.
And having that scenario of that time just appear and just the energy really come through was, it's impossible to explain the fact that, I've just written a 420-page book, whereas I don't really feel like I've written it. It was just a process and a cycle and an energy synchronicity. And these are the things we need to attach ourselves onto. And I think you can only really get to that by listening to yourself. And the information isn't going to come from outside, it's going to come from inside. Well, I believe anyway.
I think that's really, really an interesting thought. I think about you being an 11 life path number, and the 11 is intended and knows on some level that they're intended to create something original, authentic, that they can create that will inspire other people and empower other people. And you've definitely done that. And when you're talking about sort of the global influences of the war and the political unrest and everything that's going on over in Europe and such, and that's where you're from, that in itself is quite profound, because energetically, I believe next year that we are all going to feel the impact of this even more so. The energetically sensitive, the empaths, I don't care what life path number you are. We all have the possibility of being empathic. But I feel like there's so much going on. And I learned this last year. I didn't think I was much of an empath. Yeah, I'm compassionate, intuitive, somewhat psychic, all those things. But I never really considered myself to be empathic. And then I started sort of paying a little bit more attention last year, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm crying at the drop of a hat. I can't watch the news anymore, because that the influence of things like war and whatnot, the vibration of the planet is responding to that. We are all feeling it, and we need to be prepared, right? So 2023, once again, is that time where we're really going to be asked to step it up. It's not going to be a great time next year for us to be making big decisions, because we'll all be kind of up here, right? And the job is going to be is trying to get us to shift from here to here, right? And making heartfelt decisions that we can hang our hats on. The head felt decisions are the ones that cause us to stay confused and directionless. So we will feel a little directionless next year. I mean, it's designed to be that way. Spirit is saying, get in your timeout chairs, people. Like, just sit back, figure it out, and come up with a bit of a plan. That's what next year is all about. So I'm just so grateful that you've come up with this beautiful guide. And it's named aptly a guide, because it is a guide. It really is. Yeah.
But it's not, it's not a preach. It's here
not at
for
all.
you. Pick it up and digest it whenever you want. Actually, I said what you said. It really is quite perfect. You can pick it up at any point and just go, I want to look at this only. And actually, actually, for all of your viewers, particularly, excuse me, all of your viewers, particularly, who have wanted you to write a book, and I'm going to ask about that in 1 second. Technically, you have written with me. If you cut out everything else, that numerology part is your starting point for where your book is. And you said it's about reflection. So where is your book, Anne?
It's right here, Oliver. Stop bossing me around. It's right here. I promise.
I told you I was going to have to go at you for doing this.
When we went through the hurricane, when Fiona kind of flattened us here a couple of weeks ago, look, I wrote, I can't even show, like, page after page. There's probably 20 pages. I just sat there and purged on the page.
So you've got a starting point. So basically what you're saying to everyone is that you've got a starting point. It's in the works. It's going to happen sometime between 23 and 24.
Oh my God, I'm going to kick your ass afterwards.
Don't want to put you under any pressure at all. It's a lot of work. I know.
It's hysterical, because I was telling you before we got on the call that every psychic reading I have ever had always starts with, hey, what's your name? Oh, it's Anne. Oh, they want to know when you're going to start your book. I swear to God, every single one, to the point where Susan Saucier, who's my partner in crime, she does the numerology forecasts with me. She's done them for the last year or so with me. She was riding her bicycle in Florida about 2 weeks ago, and Spirit was yelling at her, get off your bike, I have a message. And she's like, oh, good, a message. It comes down, ask Anne when she's going to start her book. But I have so much, I have so much respect for anyone, obviously yourself included, Oliver, who pays heed to that message, because really, to be able to create what you have created had to come from a place of inspiration. The 11s, it's very difficult for an 11 to be told to go out and create something. It really is very difficult. Like, it has to be heartfelt. It has to be channeled. You said to me earlier that you kind of knew what the book was going to be all about. You had it all sort of mapped out how it was going to come together. Maybe it had been a little bit sketchy, but you just didn't let that bother you, as your friend told you to do. Just sit down and write. Just do it. Just write. So good on you. That's awesome.
I think it's funny, whenever I hear you talk about 11s, I'm just automatically fascinated, because I'm like, I'm that, and you're right, and yes, I do, and so I love it when you start going on about 11s. Like, okay, right, what else are you going to tell me about me that I may not have picked up on yet? And it is a balance, I feel like, we're almost a contradiction in ourselves, and everything you've said about feeling alienated from people, having the energy of the 1, which is running through walls, but also having the calm nature of a 2, which is, again, the biggest contradiction, I think, of possibly of all times, really. So and what you just said, by the way, but what you said is perfectly right. No one can tell me what to do, and it's been my whole life. And probably, if you speak to anyone else, probably not a great thing, but to have that kind of intuition that comes through, and it really is, it is intuition. It is it's something from the universe. We call it religious or not, but it's from the universal. It is a universal energy, and I'm such a great believer of the energies around us, and what we feel, what we connect to, and therefore what we feel inside, because we're getting a lot of these energies given to us on a continual basis that we just don't get to see. And I think that connection with numerology really heightens those energies and
Mhm.
gives a voice to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. And you're absolutely right. As you're talking, I'm thinking about the balance. Yes, that there's the fact that you got this accomplished in 2023 or 2022 is awesome, because that energy of the six is all about balance. And you're right. The 11s often struggle for balance because you've got the double one vibration, which is all about the intensity of it, right? Pushing it. It's that masculine energy of making it happen. Push, push, push. But how far do I push before they reject me? You know, how bossy can I be? How affirmative can I be? You know, this sort of thing. Before I'm rejected. And if you're rejected, then you can't fulfill the mission that you have, you know, that you feel that you need to create this. So the two, of course, is learning how to receive. So it is a juggling act for an 11 to create something that is going to speak to humanity and help to make a difference. It's very risky. It's very risky. And I think it's
Thank you,
definitely
Annie.
paid off for you. It really has.
It is. But honestly, I can't say how generally honoured and privileged I am for you to even say that. Generally, I have a lot of respect for you and the time that we've spent together, and really the knowledge that you've got. I think, for anyone who's watching this, it probably seems that Anne, says things and it's just really easy and it's something that everyone knows. It's not, and they don't, and you have an insight and an understanding and an intuition and generally an empathy. But we've often talked about it where you're running 100 miles an hour, I'm running 100 miles an hour, and you're whirling in whatever energy is around us. And but you've got a great understanding of the energies and of yourself. And I think that's why the synchronicity within the book, the completeness and the wholeness within the book, just made so much sense that the one, that we would work together on it, but two, the connection there, not just for the book and for ourselves, but for anyone else who doesn't understand about numerology or doesn't know about numerology. I think it's such a wonderful, genuinely self-help and self-control and self-awareness tool. And it doesn't matter if you think, if you're not spiritual or not, if you go back to the basis that this was generated and created by Pythagoras, the mathematical genius of our ages, you're taking something like that and just saying, well, Pythagoras just knew that there is a personality behind the numbers, and therefore he gave birth to what is numerology. It's not about being, well, in many respects, it is about being spiritual, but you don't have to take it as being spiritual if you don't want to. And I think that's a really nice balance for people who, maybe a bit unaware or even afraid of the spirituality or the spiritual side of life.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, and I really do feel that this book is well done in the sense that we didn't go too deep into numerology. We gave you some very basics to work with that will speak to you loud and clear. I'd be shocked if it didn't. But it will really help you to kind of understand a little bit more about why you're here, what you signed up for, what are those lessons, I do teach numerology in my Clarity Seekers community, where we really do a deep dive, right? But this book wasn't intended to be a deep dive into numerology. It was intended to be supportive of the other components that you're placing into it. So it was just one of those little ingredients in the recipe. It's absolutely timely. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. And I can say now I've actually got my name on something. Maybe that'll just inspire me to do my own. Maybe you'll have to co-write it with me.
as I said before we came online, this is your starting point. Unfortunately for you, and I can say this, but unfortunately for you, this is your starting point. You have, we're on live. It's going to be recorded. You can take this as my word, and Anne's here, and she's going to hate me for doing this, but it has to happen. And I will say this on live as well. I will help you in any way you want. I will help you write it. I'll help you put it together. I'll spend as much time as you want. Absolute pleasure. But I want to read the book. That's the thing. I'm kind of being a bit selfish here. It's not about you. I just want to read your book so I can learn more, really.
Oh my. Yes, I know. I've been
you
told
are going to kill me when we come off this, aren't we?
It's all done, buddy. It's all done. Yeah, there's something, apparently there's something quite profound coming up next year, and I have to have the book done for then. So who knows how that's going to be. I do want to mention too, a little bit of a plug that December 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be doing an event called 6 Psychics Under One Roof. And we've done this for the last 2 years. It's going to be a real expanded version of what we've done in the past. So I've got some fantastic guest speakers. It's going to be announced where you're going to be able to buy tickets for it very soon. But it's going to be really quite an event. So if you kind of want to know really what's happening, the energy and whatnot that's going to be playing out for us in 2023, make sure that you put that on your calendar. As I say, I think the 1st of November, it'll be actually launched. So you'll be able to get your tickets. Very limited amount of tickets available for this event, by the way. I'm going to keep it kind of small. But Oliver, where can people get in touch with you? How can they?
I was just thinking about that. That was amazing. I want to sign up for the 11th of December, let alone where I am. Where am I? So you can catch up with us in a number of different places. So I'm online everywhere. LinkedIn, the company Spartan International, we're actually Spartan International Executive Search and the Spartan International Group, which covers the life and career and also health and wellbeing consultancy. One of the elements actually that I didn't mention, in fact, so a large part of the life and career and health and wellbeing consultancy is to really assist banks, brokers, the financial world in changing the mentality of their employees and helping their employees. Because obviously one of the other things we talk about is mental health as well. It's physical fitness, it's wellness, it's lifestyle. And we're taking this to all of the corporates as well, because we believe that, as we've seen throughout COVID, businesses need to do a better job of looking after their employees, whether it's giving them more flexibility or having a better understanding, because the pressures that we're all facing is getting more and more and more. And for employers, it's important that they actually look at the one, they've got a duty of care to any employee that they have. But actually, if they want staff to be retained, and if they want loyalty and trust, and actually create a culture of inclusion, they need to start looking at things very, very differently. And I think we were always heading into this direction, probably maybe over the last 5 years, and it was possibly going to last for another 10 to 15. What COVID's done is ramped up what potentially would have been in 10 years' time or 15 years' time to, as you've quite rightly said, now and next year. And the interesting side from my perspective is that I've had a lot of big banks and big companies say again how timely this is, how important it is, how much they're focusing on it. And I really believe that this is the moment where, whether we're forced to do it or not, but we need to take time out. I know that people love the hectic element of life. They're going out, having fun, drinking, partying, whatever it is that you love to do. But spending time to yourself and by yourself is going to be key, not just for now, not just for tomorrow, not just for yourself, but the people around you. And it's one of those things that I think we often get caught up with. And I've tried to do this myself, where almost you neglect yourself and help others. And throughout this process of which I've learned through it, which is in the book, making sure that you're number one and you're well and you're fit and you're able and you've got your energy lines and you've had enough sleep and etc., etc., etc. That's how you're going to start helping other people, by making sure you are in yourself the best of you. And then as you can do that, you can start to really develop for others.
You actually said something that I was reading in the book, and it really struck a chord with me when you said, it all starts with you. And that has been coming through loud and clear to me this year. Facing shadow sides, stopping the blame game. My gosh, we could go on and on. I digress. But there's so much truth in that statement, that it all starts with you. It really does. You have to take responsibility for who you are and where you're going. I mean, this is your life. You get to manage it how you want. You get to choose how to respond to it how you want. I feel it would be amazing if everybody could have in their workplace a copy of this book on the staff room table. It would be just a fantastic thing. It would be something interesting to bring up in sales meetings. What are you doing to take care of yourself today so that you can rise to the top? Things like that. It's awesome. And when you think about it, guys, if you're sort of thinking, I know we're a little bit early out for the holidays and gifts and all that kind of stuff, but you got the edge now. You know that what's coming in 2023 is going to be related to spiritual development and spiritual awareness. This is a no-brainer gift, right? This really is a no-brainer gift. You're going to look like a rock star when you hand this to somebody who might be feeling a little bit lost. You might be feeling a little bit frustrated. This is definitely an easy read. You read it at your own pace. You take from it what you want. You leave the rest. You can go back to it many, many times when it serves you. But I think that everybody needs to have this in their hands for next year for sure. So check it out. It's available on Amazon. I think there's an audio version available too. Is there not?
Audio, not yet. There is a Kindle version. There is a hard copy version.
Okay.
You've also got, so the copy comes out on the 25th of November in the UK and Europe. In the US, it comes, I think it's on the 1st of December, just after Thanksgiving.
Perfect.
So fantastic time for you to give a gift to someone who's hosted you. And as Anne said, and this is not a genuine, this isn't a plug just to get you to buy it, but this is a wonderful stocking filler. It really is. If you ever think about, you know, that person, you go, what can I buy them? They literally have everything. You can't buy them anything else but themselves. And this book gives them themselves. So I honestly, I think if I was going to buy it, to be fair, I've already bought loads of copies for my family purely for Christmas and for nothing else. So at least I've got that. But I think it's a great thing to buy, genuinely. I think the detail in there, there's so much information that you can pick up and put down at any one point. And just to one highlight, if you ever want to speak to us, we also have life and career coaching as well. It's not just about the book. We don't start and finish there. We do offer either virtual one-to-ones, personal one-to-ones, and actually for clients and for corporates, we'll go and speak to however many people in the company as well. And to your note of having that one coffee table book, so to speak, my view, as much as humanly possible, is to ensure that every employer gives their employee one book, because that book is absolutely there for that individual to improve themselves, and by improving themselves, it'll be to the benefit of the culture of the company and also the productivity of the company. And it sounds like a bit of a wishy-washy thing to go corporate, but you know what? It goes everywhere. As long as you've got the passion to want to help yourself and to progress and to learn, I think it's a wonderful thing to have.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And I am so grateful that I got to play a small part in this. And I'm just super excited to be able to share this with everyone. I'm really grateful that you made the time and we actually connected up our time zones so we can make this happen. You have no idea, guys. Apparently Oliver and I are just
it almost didn't happen. we got here, we did it, it was great. And before we disappear, I want to say to everyone, and especially in front of everyone, and thank you so much. You weren't just a small part, you were a huge part. I genuinely appreciate all the time you've spent, your knowledge, your humor. I think you've kept me going as much as anything else. And obviously, you know, the fact that we had that first connection with my report and my review, it really kicked off everything for me and cemented how important all of these elements are connectively and synchronicity and really as a combination of wholeness. And I can't thank you enough. So thank you very, very much.
My pleasure, Oliver. Absolutely my pleasure. So y'all know what to do. Hop on over to Amazon, order your copy, order lots of copies. It's a no-brainer gift for Christmas or holidays, giving, whatever. I just want you to have it. So there's a good description of it on Amazon too. I checked it out the other day. So anyway, thank you so much, Oliver. Thank you all for attending today. We really appreciate it. And hopefully you gained a little bit of insight and recognize what's coming up for 2023 and how you can be well supported by picking up a copy of Oliver's book called The Holistic Guide to Your Health and Wellbeing today. Thanks so much, guys. Hoping you're creating your best day ever. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.